lose your phone for 10 minutes and your chest tightens. You misplace your keys and your whole morning unravels. Your brain, it turns out, is wired to panic over loss, even small loss, even meaningless loss. But the real answer to why is far stranger than a lost phone. It goes back before cities, before farming, before language even sounded like language. It goes back to the first time a human being looked down a body that used to move, used to speak, used to be somebody and did not know what to do with the stillness. So what did ancient humans actually do when someone died? Not what movies show you, not spears and howling and ash on the wind. The real record is quieter and much, much older than most people assume. Start in a cave in northern Iraq, Shanidar Cave. Sometime around 60,000 years ago, a group of Neanderthals buried one of their own in a shallow pit. Archaeologist Ralph Solke excavated the site in the 1950s and found something that startled the entire field. Clusters of ancient pollen sat in the soil around the body. Solke proposed the pollen came from flowers deliberately placed, a funeral, a goodbye. Decades later, researchers pushed back. Some argued the pollen came from burrowing rodents, not mourners. The debate never fully settled. But here is what nobody disputes. The body was placed in the ground on purpose, curled, positioned, covered. That alone changes everything you were taught about cavemen. Neanderthals were not the shuffling brutes of old textbooks. They noticed absence, responded to it with ritual or something close to ritual. And they were not the only early humans doing this. Moved to a cave in Israel called Qafzeh, dated to roughly 100,000 years ago. Archaeologist Arella Hovers and her team found a child buried there with a set of deer antlers placed across the chest, resting in the arms. Not tossed in, arranged. Why would anyone arrange antlers on a dead child? You already know the answer, even if you have never thought about it directly. Because the person doing the burying needed to do something. Because stillness without action is unbearable to a mind built for problem solving. This is the part modern neuroscience finally explains. Your brain runs on prediction. It constantly builds a model of the world and updates that model with every new signal. A person who talked, moved, and reacted yesterday should still talk, move, and react today. When they suddenly stop, the model breaks, and a broken model to your brain feels like danger. Grief, in other words, is not just sadness. It is your prediction machine grinding against a hole in reality it cannot patch. Early humans could not explain this in those terms. They had no concept of neural prediction error, but they felt the wrongness all the same. And ritual, it turns out, is one of the oldest tools humans ever built to patch that wrongness. Durham University archaeologist Paul Pettit has spent decades studying the deep prehistory of mortuary behavior. His research traces a slow, uneven shift across hundreds of thousands of years. First, early hominins mostly did nothing special with the dead. Bodies were left, scavenged, forgotten. Then gradually something changes in the archaeological record. Bodies get moved to specific locations. Bodies get covered. Bodies get objects placed beside them. Pettit's work suggests this shift was not sudden or universal. It was patchy. Some groups buried their dead with care. Others, even in the same time period, apparently did not. Which tells you something important. Ritual around death was not hardwired from the start. It was invented, tested, passed down, lost, reinvented, which raises the real question underneath all of this. Why bother? A body cannot feel the flowers. A body cannot see the antlers laid across its chest. From a purely practical standpoint, burial takes time and energy that could go toward food, safety, survival. And yet humans across the ancient world, again and again, chose to spend that energy on the dead. Primatologist Barbara King has studied grief-like behavior in animals for years, documenting how elephants linger near the bones of dead herd members, how chimpanzees carry deceased infants for days, how dolphins support dying pod mates at the surface. Her research suggests that the roots of mourning reach back further than humanity itself. Something in social, bonded animals resists letting go cleanly. But humans took it somewhere none of those animals did. Humans turned grief into structure, into repeated action, into meaning. Think about what a funeral actually does, stripped down to its mechanics. It gathers the group in one place, gives everyone a shared task. It marks a before and an after. It transforms a private, chaotic feeling into a public, ordered event. That is not an accident. That is a survival tool. A group that ritualizes loss recovers faster than a group that doesn't. Grief left to fester in isolation weakens a person's ability to hunt, gather, protect, cooperate. But grief channeled into shared ritual, shared story, shared action gets processed. The group stays functional. Bonds between the living get reinforced at the exact moment those bonds feel most fragile. Seen this way, that Neanderthal in Shanidar Cave was not just being mourned. The group doing the burying was healing itself. And the objects matter too. Anthropologists studying burial goods across dozens of ancient sites have noted a pattern. Tools, ornaments, food, weapons. Items placed with a body often reflect what that person did in life, or what the group believed they might need next. It is speculation dressed as function, but function nonetheless. Placing an object is an action. Action to a grieving brain feels like control, and control is exactly what death takes away. Here is the strange twist archaeologists keep running into. The earliest burials were not about believing in an afterlife, at least not necessarily. Some early rituals may have been almost entirely about the living, about giving the group's collective prediction machine something to do besides spiral. Only later, as belief systems grew more elaborate, did burial start attaching itself to bigger ideas. Souls, spirits, journeys after death. Chris Stringer, a leading researcher on human origins at the Natural History Museum in London, has pointed out that symbolic behavior, including mortuary ritual, likely developed unevenly across different hominin populations, rather than switching on all at once like a light. Some groups edged toward ritual earlier, others took much longer, or never developed it in the same form. This uneven emergence is itself a clue. It suggests ritual around death was less an instinct and more an invention, refined generation after generation, wherever it proved useful. Which brings you back to your lost phone, your misplaced keys, that flash of panic when something you expected to be there simply isn't. You are not overreacting when small losses rattle you. You are running the same ancient machinery that once stood over a body in a cave in Iraq and could not simply walk away. Same prediction-breaking jolt. The same need to do anything to close the gap between what should be there and what suddenly isn't. Modern life gives that machinery almost nothing real to work on most days, so it fires on small things instead. A missing object, a canceled plan, a person who stops texting back. The ache is disproportionate to the object, but it was never really about the object. It never was, not even 60,000 years ago. Standing over a body with a handful of flowers that may or may not have been placed on purpose. So the next time your chest tightens over something small, you might recognize what is actually happening underneath it. Your brain does not distinguish between a lost set of keys and a lost person, not entirely, not down at the root. Both trigger the same ancient alarm. Both call up the same old solution, passed down from a cave you will never see, from hands that once needed something to hold on besides absence itself. You lose your phone for 10 minutes and your chest tightens. Now you know why.